I spent over 40 lakhs on my ISB MBA, and that was including the party budget obviously. But in case you don't want to do that or want a sneak peek into what the experience is like, keep watching because today I'm going to distill some of the most powerful business lessons that I learned at India's #1 B school in the next 10 minutes and completely for free. So it might be surprising at first, but for 90% of the curriculum, I didn't even have to touch a textbook. The thing is that ISB will learn through something called the case study method. Because in business, most of the learning does not come from just theory, but through the real world battles and victories of actual companies. So in this video, we'll cover 3 foundational frameworks or concepts that completely changed how I think about business. So firstly, we'll talk about the blue ocean strategy, then the power of positioning, and thirdly, the U.P.O.D method. And for each one of these, I'll give you a quick case study, just like we would in a class at ISB. Let's get started. The first concept is a real game changer. It's called the blue ocean strategy, and the core idea is this. Most industries are red oceans, which are bloody from all the sharks that are fighting over the same pool of customers. And because there are so many sharks, there is blood all over, and it's making the whole ocean red as well. A blue ocean, on the other hand, is a new, completely uncontested market space. It's a new, untouched ocean in a way, and it's about making the competition completely irrelevant by creating a new game altogether, like AI is doing in a large sense. So the classic ISB case study for this concept was Cirque du Soleil, which is a Canadian circus company. Here's the story. In the 1980s, the circus industry was dying. What did Cirque du Soleil do? They didn't just try to build a better circus, but instead they created a whole new category. They looked at the traditional circus model and eliminated the most expensive parts from it, which were the animals and the star performers. Then they raised the production value by adding elements from theater, beautiful music, and sophisticated storylines. Essentially, they did not compete with the other circuses. Instead, they created a new form of entertainment for adults with a premium ticket price to match that value that they were creating. And in a classic way, they found a blue ocean. So the lesson is, when thinking from a business lens, don't just ask how can I beat this competition. Instead, ask how can I completely make them irrelevant by starting a new category altogether. Now, next up, the power of positioning. This lesson is about marketing, but in a way, it is really also about psychology. It is called positioning a brand in a market, and the ultimate goal of positioning is to own one word or one idea in your customer's mind. Think about it. What word comes to mind when I say Volvo? If you are interested in cars or have analyzed the automobile industry, the word that would come to your mind or should come to your mind is safety. Well, because Volvo stands for the word safety. Similarly, what comes to mind when you think of Google? Now, more often than not, it would be search. Now, this is what you have to understand. This isn't an accident. It is actually the result of decades of strategic positioning. And that's because the best brands don't try to be everything to everyone. They stand for one thing clearly and consistently. If you want to discuss an Indian case study, let's talk about Zerodha. So before Zerodha, investing was seen as complex, expensive, and for experts only, for people who knew how to very well trade the stock market. But Zerodha positioned itself as the exact opposite. The position is very clearly simple and low cost investing. Every feature, whether it's their clean UI, their pricing model, it all reinforces that one single idea. So the lesson here is that whether as a company or an individual, you can't be the best at everything. You really have to pick one thing that you want to be known for and dominate it completely. Now the third lesson that I want to talk about is the U.P.O.D method. Now this final lesson isn't about business strategy at all. Instead, it is about professional strategy or a career strategy. See, it's a simple rule that will build you an incredible reputation in any field. U.P.O.D stands for under promise and over deliver method. In most corporate roles, and especially the ones after top tier business schools, you are constantly in high stakes projects and initiatives. The temptation for high performers is usually to promise the world to your manager to sound impressive. For example, when asked for an estimate for completion, you might say, yeah, we can get this entire thing delivered by tomorrow. But it's a classic rookie mistake, and I'll tell you why. The real pros do the opposite of this. They build in a buffer because they know how to manage expectations. And in fact, research from Harvard Business Review has consistently shown that managing client and stakeholder expectations is one of the most critical factors in building long-term trust. Broken promises, even small ones, can disproportionately damage your reputation. Now let me give you an instance from a case competition that I participated during ISB. So our team was presenting to a panel of financial analysts, and during the Q&A, a judge hit us with a tough question that required a supplementary data analysis that we hadn't prepared at all. But instead of panicking and promising an immediate answer, we underpromised. We said, that's an excellent question. Let us run the numbers and send you the follow-up analysis by the end of the day. So we went back and built a small interactive model in Excel that allowed the judge to test his own assumptions, and we sent it to him in just 3 hours. So what did we do here? We didn't just answer his question. We gave him a tool. By underperforming a simple follow-up and over-delivering with a dynamic solution, we really stood out. And I believe that this simple strategy was one of the main factors that got us into the top 3 finishes on a national level. So in simple words, always set a baseline that you know you can hit and then work like hell to exceed it. Now that's it for this video, but this is a tiny taste of the frameworks that we learned at ISB. The real value is in applying them to solve business problems, first through case studies in school and then in the real world. Now in part 2, I'll be covering more lessons, so make sure that you are subscribed, and if you found this video helpful, save it for your future reference and share it with a friend who is curious about the MBA journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.